I was 4 years old when I went into my first cave. It was Fairyland Caverns at Rock City in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We were on family vacation. Family lore is that something clicked in me. From then on, I wanted to visit every show cave we passed. My parents believed in supporting their kids' interests, so they indulged me and took the family to most show caves we passed on vacation. My father always said I had caves on the brain. For the next 9 years, I read everything I ran across about caves and went in many show caves, but I didn't know much about people who specialized in going into caves, exploring them and studying them, until I went caving as a Boy Scout. I got very excited by the experience and led the push of the adult leaders of our troop into helping us form an explorer post specializing in speleology, the exploration and study of caves. I joined the National Speleological Society at the age 16. 45 years and over 2,500 caves later, I'm a recognized caving expert, and I was invited to contribute a chapter for this book in which 120 contemporary explorers and adventurers told of their aha moment when they realized that they loved something so much that they never wanted to stop doing it. My story is about cave exploration done as a Boy Scout at age 13 when I discovered a cave passage that had never before been seen. When I first started rappelling into caves and climbing back up the rope, I realized that I had a fear of heights. With practice and experience, I became proficient and always seemed to be the voice of safety precautions. Once, when I was one of the organizers of a major long-term cave exploration, mapping, and study project, I stated that we were not going to have a safety officer, that we were all safety officers, that the last thing we ever wanted to hear someone say was, "I saw it coming." Most weekends while I went to college, I was out with my caving friends seeing another cave. This one is in northeast Alabama. By age 19, I was actively exploring in the world's longest cave, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, and descending and ascending the deepest pits in the USA. This is a 400-foot pit in another Alabama cave. It was the deepest pit in the country when I did it while still a teenager. Throughout the 70s, while I was a high school teacher, I spent my summers in the wilderness areas of Montana and organized expeditions deep into the Rockies where I explored unknown caves. I spent as many as 10 weeks many miles away from a road. This is one of those Montana wilderness caves. We named it Blood Cave because of its blood-red stalactites and stalagmites. In my late 20s, I heard about a cave in far southern Mexico that was said to be impossible to explore because of its nature of wall-to-wall deep water and strong currents going downstream over waterfalls. I organized the best U.S. cavers into 2 annual expeditions, and we proved them wrong. Using scouting ingenuity, we invented techniques to do it safely. Realizing that Mexico had some of the best unexplored caves in the world, I kept going back annually, organizing expeditions, and made an international reputation for myself. Once I was a regular at organizing expeditions, I started getting invited on other people's expeditions, including one to the cave of this 320-foot deep shaft located within the deepest cave in the Western Hemisphere, Sistema Huautla. In this cave, the deepest in the Americas, we discovered one of the largest rooms in any cave in the world. It's half again the size of a dome stadium. This may look like 21 people, but really it's only 3 people setting off 7 flashbulbs each as they slowly walk across the floor of the immense room. To explore and map a super deep cave, it becomes necessary to camp in it, because you soon reach a point where you cannot make it back to the entrance in a day. The longest I have ever stayed in a cave without coming out was 13 days. Something we noticed when we reached the deepest area of the super deep Mexican caves were strange, eyeless, white living creatures. This scorpion, for instance, is troglodytic, or cave adapted. It and its ancestors for many thousands of years have lived in a totally dark environment, so they de-evolved and lost their eyes and skin pigmentation because they weren't needed. This photo shows the first one of the cave scorpions ever found. Just a couple of years ago, I organized an expedition to a remote and hard-to-reach mesa in northern Mexico where the geology indicates there ought to be an immense cave. We carry the flag of the Explorers Club, of which I became a fellow member at age 30, something very rare. I've got lots of leads, or caves that still have more to explore. In this cave in the Mexican state of Guerrero, we turned around where the 2 people in the background are. There was a large room there, and we have not found the other side of it. We'll go back there in the next couple of years. I've gone on 2 expeditions to western China, where immense unexplored caves have been discovered in the past few years. People lived near the entrances, but they do not have lights, gear, experience, or desire to go very far into them. This immense passage is one I have backpacked through many miles deep into the Earth's interior. In the Long Cave in China, we camped twice for 5 days at this campsite. From here, we would travel many hours deeper into the cave to explore additional passages, map them, returning back here to cook dinner and sleep in our sleeping bags. I stay very active in cave exploration and go often, at least once a month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, and using my vacations from work. This is a cave I'm actively exploring. You have to wear a wetsuit in it because you're constantly in deep water. Sure, there are bats sometimes. I call them flying teddy bears. They're extremely beneficial by spreading pollen for plants and eating insects. I've never had a problem with a bat. They fascinate me. I've written and had published 2 books about caving. This is Yochib the River Cave, which tells the story of the exploration of Sumidero Yochib, said to be impossible to explore, but it wasn't. It was just super dangerous and a challenge to figure out how to do it and live to tell. 5 years ago, I finished my book, Huautla, 30 Years in One of the World's Deepest Caves, which is the story of my trips to the deepest cave in the Western Hemisphere. I plan to write another book about the Huautla Caves someday when we are finished exploring them. Plans are underway to return in 2015 to conduct what we call full speleology, to have experts in all of the disciplines of studying caves: cartography, geology, hydrology, biology, paleontology, archaeology, and so on. The biologists from UNAM in Mexico City, the biggest university in Mexico, who were with us this year, will be returning. They're really excited because they found 6 new species of troglodytic life forms in just a few days of searching this year. If you're interested in caving, start like I did, by reading about it and visiting show caves. Many show caves have what they call wild caving trips, where they provide equipment and take you into areas off the tourist trails. Check out my 5 favorite caves in the August 2014 issue of Boys Life magazine or online at boyslife.org.